皆さんこんにちは。レックスオブザビーストのニコでございます。今日は日本の LOVEBITES について話しましょう。Hey everyone, I'm Nico from Licks of the Beast, and today we're going to talk about Japanese heavy metal band LOVEBITES. I received so many requests to discuss their music on the channel, and I'm happy to say that I'm finally getting around to it. If you're not familiar with them, LOVEBITES is a 5-piece power metal band from Japan with exceptional musicianship and really good songwriting. Plus, the guitar work of Midori and Miyako is absolutely killer with technical shredding, tight harmonies, and aggressive riffs that are both catchy and memorable. The band was formed in 2016, and in just 10 years, they've managed to put out 5 full-length albums, 4 EPs, and 6 live albums. Talk about a work ethic. Their latest album, Outstanding Power, was just released in Japan in February of this year, and it'll be out internationally on May 8th. The first single is entitled Castaway, and it's a killer song. It's got everything I love about heavy metal music. A great main riff, guitar harmonies, really catchy melodies, 6 solos, a touch of melancholy, and an excellent arrangement. This is one of those songs that I think is really worth a closer look because there's so much to be learned from studying the various parts and the arrangement. So that's exactly what we're going to do today with this breakdown of the Castaway by LOVEBITES. And if you're going to be following along with your guitar, we're in drop D tuning and in the key of B minor. So the song starts with this slightly ominous fade-in, and this is a compositional technique that I really like a lot because it just sets the tone and foreshadows the intensity that is about to come. The chord progression is the most basic 6-7-1, but with an important twist. They add the third chord, the D, in there before repeating the progression. This gives a momentary sense of hope, and then it goes back to the minor 6th, minor 7th, and again the tonic, only this time it stays firmly on the tonic, making that somber effect even more pronounced. I think this is worth paying attention to because even though LOVEBITES' style is fresh and original, and they don't really sound like anyone else in particular, they're still using the basic chord progressions that sound the best for this kind of song. I've heard people point this out as a shortcoming of heavy metal music, but I really don't agree with that at all. It's a weird thing because I don't hear the same complaints about the prevalence of the 1-4-5 progression in blues music, for example. So the point is, musical genres tend to have their own inherent chord progressions that make up their general sound. And without them, the music just wouldn't feel right. I wanted to take a moment to share something really cool with you about the channel. So at the time I'm recording this, we're close to 80,000 subscribers, which means we're more than 3/4 of the way to reaching the big 100K. Now that number is really just a starting line for what comes next, and reaching it means that I could start bringing you guys new things like actual interviews and deeper dives into the topics we love. Songs like this one, for example. But to pull that off, we could really use your help. So if you watch Licks of the Beast, even just from time to time, please consider subscribing. Another way that you could support the channel is by joining our growing community on Patreon. That's where you'll find extra content like tabs and different tutorials that I don't do here on the channel. So if you want to check that out, it's patreon.com/licksofthebeast. Anyway, on top of that chord progression, they play a cool harmonized melody that kind of reminds me a bit of the reverse lead guitar intro on Blackened by Metallica. And I think it's important for newer music to paraphrase or allude to its roots every now and then. If nothing else, for a question of musical lineage and continuity. So the part that stands out more is the higher one, and it goes like this. And that's harmonized a third lower, like this. I like how the central note of the lower harmony alternates between G and F sharp, while the higher part is always centered on the root, B. So the harmony is not entirely in parallel thirds. That one recurring perfect fourth is enough to make it feel a bit more grounded. From there, the song kicks off and it's full-on speed metal from here on out. Lots of fast picking, double kick drums, and all that good stuff. The really great thing here is the killer main riff. And if you get nothing else out of this video, I think the one takeaway, and it's the same one as for the video I did recently on the latest Elegant Weapons single, is that a strong main riff is the foundation of a good metal song, especially if the elements of it can be integrated into the different sections. And that's definitely the case with the Castaway. So the riff is played in unison by both guitars, and it goes something like this. And that leads to the verse, which is based on the main riff, with a few small twists to make it interesting and to provide a proper frame for the vocal melody. And that part goes like this. This is another song where the first verse is a double verse, and they highlight that by introducing a harmony to the main guitar part a third higher. So while Midori keeps playing that part the same way in B, Miyako plays it up a third in D. That adds a dreamy element to the verse and makes it a bit more melancholic. Now from there we go into the pre-chorus, and in this section they're going to break it up a bit with a more deliberate beat made up of crashing power chords so that it's not just relentless speed the entire time. Yeah, so really this part has more of a punk rock vibe, which is rather unusual for this type of song. So it's unexpected and it really stands out. The first time I heard it, I was like, wait, what the? Oh yeah. The way they come out of this part and slam into the chorus, however, that's full-on Halloween-style power metal. So they play this ascending 16th note riff that I can't quite make out clearly because it's harmonized and there's other stuff going on at the same time. And even when I tried isolating the guitar track, it's still not very clear. Now, to be fair, I'm working with the file I downloaded from Apple Music because the CD, which I'm sure sounds a lot better, won't be available in North America until May. So I kind of got the gist of it, but this is not note for note. So I have one guitar part doing something like this, and the other guitar is doing it something like this. And that takes us to the big, melodic, but very powerful and clearly epic chorus. So like the verse, the guitar part here is based on the main riff, only they continue what they did in the second half of the verse by harmonizing it a third up, so that it sounds big and cinematic. And I want to point out the great vocal arrangement here, namely how loud the lower melody is. Now, typically on a chorus like this, the high melody is the one that stands out a lot more prominently, and the lower one is in the background, almost more felt than heard clearly. In the Castaway, it's almost like vocalist Asami is treating this as a two-part harmony rather than a clearly defined lead and backing vocal. So the higher melody is soaring and passionate. And the lower melody feels more grounded and stable. I really love this chorus, and honestly, I wish they'd also released a Japanese version of the song, because I get the impression that the lyrics were very meaningful to Asami. And when you translate from Japanese to a language like English that has an entirely different grammatical and phonetic structure, you lose some of the depth of the original. And I don't mean just in the lyrics, because then how would that benefit anyone who doesn't speak Japanese? I'm also talking about the performance. Now, in the second chorus, we discovered that the first one was actually just a teaser, because this is actually a two-part chorus. So the first half is the long, stretched-out vocal melody, and the second half that is introduced here has a busier, more elaborate vocal over a more simple 6-7-1 progression to better frame the vocal melody. So what comes next is a fantastic instrumental section, which is actually quite long and elaborate. So we're not going to go into the details of each part, but I do want to talk about the arrangement a little bit. So after the bridge, everything slows down for a short, dreamy interlude. Now this is a very simple section, which is exactly what us listeners need to catch our breaths in between all that intensity. So here, the rhythm guitar part just plays Old Faithful 6-7-1, so G to A to B. And the lead guitar is playing a suspended triad in the higher register to really add to that dreamy vibe. But the star of the show in this section is bassist Fami, with a really cool and groovy bass line. It sounds badass, especially because Fami is doing this with the slap and pop technique. Not exactly something you hear all the time in a power metal song. I'll show you exactly what she's playing, but I can't demonstrate how because I can't play slap bass. Not yet anyway. So it's based on the minor pentatonic scale, and most of it is really just the same 3 notes. More proof that the talent is in achieving complexity from simplicity. This balance is crucial and it's so difficult to achieve. So here is what Fami is playing. And just as she gets to the G and A at the end, Miyako winds up for her solo with this ascending flurry. Her guitar solo is really smoking, and I like how I can hear her influences in there, but she never sounds like she's trying to sound like any one of them in particular. Like, you have those Malmsteen-esque harmonic minor runs, and the no palm muting bend vibrato Marty Friedmanisms. And what I like about Miyako's lead playing is that even though she has plenty of technique, she's not playing everything ultra smooth and precise. There's some grit there with rawness and aggression. Midori's solo is just a bit more melodic with a slightly smoother flow, but her playing sounds natural and not overly polished. So, like Miyako, she still has a rawness to her sound that comes across as very real and expressive. So her solo has a really cool arrangement. The 3-chord progression is played twice, there's a break with stabs to let the lead guitar stand out, and then the progression is played once more to end the solo and lead into the harmony section. So Midori opens the solo with this really cool run that blends a familiar pentatonic lick with finger tapping and a harmonic minor motif. After the break, when the solo kicks off again, she plays the exact same lick. And I love to hear stuff like this. It adds a storytelling element, using that repeating line as a premise for a more complex idea. Midori's solo is followed by a really nice post-solo interlude that features both guitarists playing first in unison, and then harmonizing in thirds when it gets to this part. So Midori is playing it that way, and Miyako is doing it a third lower. That leads back to the chorus, and then they do something that gave me massive goosebumps the first time I heard it. So the same harmonized melody that they played for the song's opening is now reprised as the outro. And to make it feel even more exhilarating, they play it an octave higher the second time around. I love when bands do stuff like this because, for one thing, it sounds cool. And more importantly, it solidifies the importance of that initial part. Making it a bookend means it wasn't just a catchy thing to start the song, but something much more meaningful. The final part of the song is yet one more variation of the main riff, this time with a percussive syncopation and a staccato feel to make it a powerful closing statement. And that is the Castaway by LOVEBITES. Hope you enjoyed this and that maybe it helped you understand the song a little bit better. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers.